Hey guys, welcome back to Motorcycle Maintenance Channel. On this episode, we're going to show you how to get rid of the stock exhaust off of this 2013 R6 motorcycle. We're going to change it out for a beautiful M4 Streetslayer exhaust, like they say on the other shows. Yeah, put in that oomph. Alright, stay tuned guys. Alright guys, the first thing we're going to do to change this exhaust is remove this little heat shielding. I'm not entirely certain you have to remove the heat shielding, but it's good practice just so we can see what's going on behind it. And it's just 2 bolts. So we're going to go ahead and just take these 2 bolts off real fast. And those were 4mm Allen key bolts. Now we're going to our 5, take off this bigger one. Alright, there it is. So yeah, we did have to take all 3 of those off. And this is our servo. We're going to have to disconnect that. And a lot of people will just take the whole servo motor out altogether to save weight and everything. We're going to still leave it in there with it still shooting the cables back and forth. And that's because we don't have a servo buddy, and we're not going to get it flashed anytime soon. So we do disconnect the servo motor as is. It'll throw a code and there'll be a check engine light on. So a lot of people do this too, where they just kind of leave that connected, but we have to take it off. It's going to be turning and not actually moving a butterfly valve in here. And what it does is it moves a butterfly valve in here. At lower RPMs, it keeps it closed to make it less noisy. And at higher RPMs, it'll switch and open it, and it'll let it breathe more. It's like an EPA thing or whatever, so it's not necessary at all. Actually, while we have it in this position, we're going to disconnect it now. And a 10mm. Loosen this up. Little clip. I hate messing with that. Get my little wrenches, loosen up those cables. Alright, this is a 10mm wrench. Disconnect this. Move this guy back. Alright, those disconnected. Just a bunch of unnecessary stuff here. Okay. Our 5mm Allen key. Take this off. That clamps the exhaust on. We got that off with the 5mm. It's ready to come off. We just need to take this guy off. It's going to be a 6mm up top. Voila! It's off. Not too bad, actually. It doesn't weigh that much. Of course, all that other stuff isn't on it either. But this one just looks so much nicer. Alright, so it'll sit in there like that. But it comes with this little piece here, which is just going to extend out that bolt right there and bring it up to that holder. So let's take it off. Now that we know it's the right part, fits. We'll start taking that off. And this is a 12mm socket. Make sure we're going the right direction. There we are. Looks like the servo goes right here. So when we get a servo buddy or flash it, we'll completely remove everything else. Right. Got that guy off. And then this kind of fit where he was. Right there. Let's do something with these guys though before we go any farther. There we go. Get some dikes and just cut those right there. I always used to call these wire cutters, but I learned the other day at the shop I work at that these are called dikes. The ones at the shop are better than mine. There's one. There's the other one. There it is, kind of cleaned up. Make sure you don't cut your O2 sensor. That's your O2 sensor. All right. And then later we'll just remove all of the little wires going back to the servo over there when we're going to take the ECU out to get it flashed. And if you want to know where the ECU is, watch our integrated taillight video because we had to move that around. You need to take out the baffle because why put an aftermarket exhaust on your motorcycle if you just want it to be quiet? I guess if you like the look of it. So looks like a 3mm Allen key to loosen up the baffle. And then think about which way we're turning it. Goes that way. And we're just taking out the plug, if you will, from the tail pipe. Anyways. This will also lighten up the exhaust, the weight of it. Okay. Oh, it just moves out. No need to pound it with a hammer. All right. There it is. This is not necessary. And it does make it lighter. All right, so back to mounting. Got our spacer bar. Put that there. It's just kind of squeezed there. Got this long bolt now that we're going to feed underneath the exhaust through that little hole and through there. Okay, feels like it's in there. Now we have our extremely long extension. This is a 6mm Allen key on another extension on another extension. And that's so that we can reach it from way back here to turn the bolt. Now I'm gonna, before we use that to tighten it, I'm gonna come in there real quick with my hand. The last thing we want to do is cross thread it. So I'm going to put my hand in there and more or less turn it counterclockwise a little bit and then turn it back clockwise. And that's because we want to make sure we don't cross thread that bolt that's extremely hard to reach. Now I'll attach this to the screw, or to the ratchet. Oops. And you can hear it. We're just doing one click at a time to get it in there. This will just kind of allow us to bend the wrench a little bit. Using all the extensions today. I imagine this would be easier with the rear wheel off. If you wanted to do it maybe during a tire change, you guys at home. And the reason I went and did it with my hand to make sure it's not cross-threaded, because once you start putting these extensions and joints and stuff on there, it's hard to know if you're really turning the bolt true or not. So you want to do it by hand and just feed it through there so you know you're not damaging the threads on the inside. Then you can do it with this. There's not a whole lot of feeling with this on here. But as you can hear, it's going, we're ratcheting it a lot more than just one click at a time this way. It's kind of getting away from where it is. Now later when we get a downpipe, we can do the whole thing and it won't have this rust, you know. You get a nice stainless steel downpipe or maybe even a titanium one. That's good. Now I'll strip it. Because I mean, if you strip it, imagine how hard that is to take out. Alright, so take this off. Take that off. Take off the little adapter nut and our 6mm Allen key. And that is how you reach that without removing the rear wheel. Alright, so now we'll tighten this clamp here. It's a 5. And no torque specs were provided by M4, but we're just going to do it till it's good and tight. About like that. I don't really want to put everything into it because that's how we ruin bolts. Alright. There we go. And we have an M4 exhaust on there. Let's crank that baby up and see what it sounds like. Ready to hear the M4 Streetslayer. Not to make fun of STB or SVP or whatever his name is. Alright. Not too bad, not too bad. Actually, that sounds pretty conservative. Oh, there he goes. I forget that these things redline at 16,000, so. Alright guys, that's your M4 Streetslayer exhaust. Stay out of the grease, everybody.